Welcome, my dear colleagues. I am Dr. Moustafa Mahmoud. In this video, I will outline the different dietary approaches for treatment of obesity. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more video updates. Dietary approach is an essential part of lifestyle modification for weight loss. No single diet can be universally applied to every patient. But according to patients' affordability, comorbidities, preferences, and culture. To understand the relation between energy balance in our bodies and weight loss, we should know some basic concepts. The first concept about the basal metabolism of our bodies, which represents the calories required to meet the basal life-sustaining functions at rest, which can be obtained from Harris-Benedict equation. For example, in men, basic metabolic rate equals 66.4730 plus 13.7516 multiplied by weight in kilogram plus 5.003 multiplied by height in centimeter minus 6.775 multiplied by age in years. The second concept about the net energy balance of our bodies, which is calories in, calories out rule. Calorie is a calorie. Once enters the body, where it participates in the metabolic functions, burn it out or stored as fat. Calories in, calories out, it is a concept that creating a calorie deficit by consuming fewer calories than burning on a daily basis leads to weight loss. On the other hand, eating more than burning causes weight gain. For example, since a pound is equivalent to eating about 3,500 calories, to lose about a pound per week, 500 calories daily over 7 days are needed, which can be achieved by either eating less or exercising more or both. The third concept is about the regulation of our body weight, which is a complex issue influenced by many factors including age, gender, genetics, cultural background, lifestyle, type of food, inadequate sleep, medical condition and disability, eating disorders, and time pressure, which finally leading to energy imbalance and excess weight. Dietary interventions for treatment of obesity, which aiming at creating a negative energy balance, can be achieved through restriction of macronutrients, intermittent fasting or time-based energy restriction, and finally diets based on a calorie deficit. Restriction of macronutrients. Macronutrients restriction is a dietary approach to treat obesity by restricting specific macronutrients in our diets. Macronutrients are the nutrients needed in larger amounts that provide us with energy. Common examples of macronutrients are fat, proteins, and carbohydrates. Each gram of protein provides 4 kilocalories, and each gram of carbohydrates provides 4 kilocalories, while each gram of fat provides 9 kilocalories. The adult males generally require 2,000 to 3,000 calories per day, while the adult female requires 1,600 to 2,400 calories per day. Here we will mention some common examples of diets with macronutrients restriction. Low-fat diets are foods where 30% or less of calories come from fat. Low-fat diets are intended to reduce the occurrence of cardiovascular disease and obesity. Common examples include leafy greens as kale, fruits, beans and legumes, sweet potato, tart cherry juice, cruciferous vegetables as broccoli, mushrooms, garlic, ancient grains as farro, white lean fish, chicken breast, low-fat dairy, and egg whites. Low carbohydrates diet. According to the total daily carbohydrates load of the diet, carbohydrate diet can be classified into very low carbohydrates diet when carbohydrates less than 10% of the macronutrient intake per day, or the diet contains 20 to 50 gram carbohydrates per day. Second, low carbohydrates diet when carbohydrates less than 26% of the daily macronutrient intake or contains less than 130 gram per day of carbohydrates. Third, moderate carbohydrate diet when carbohydrate represents 26 to 45% of the daily macronutrient intake. And finally, high carbohydrates diet when carbohydrates represent more than 45% of the daily macronutrient intake. Here are some of foods to eat on low carbohydrates diet like lean meat, fish, eggs, non-starchy vegetables like cauliflower, asparagus, and carrots, low carbohydrates fruits like orange, nuts and seeds like walnut, high-fat dairy products like cheese, fats and oils like olive oil. Ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet is a high-fat, moderate protein, and low carbohydrates diet. The macronutrient content range from approximately 55 to 60% fat, 30 to 35% protein, and 5 to 10% carbohydrates. The best foods for the ketogenic diets, such as avocados, eggs, meat and poultry, fish and shellfish, cheese, nuts, olives, seeds, dark chocolate, fat including oils like olive oil, palm, coconut, as well as butter and lard. Finally, low carbohydrates, non-starchy vegetables such as leafy greens. By increasing fat and protein intake and significantly reducing carbohydrates intake, the ketogenic diet induces metabolic state called nutritional ketosis, where body utilizes ketone bodies as a primary source of energy instead of glucose, with primary goal to reduce overall body weight and reduce the risk of diabetes, hyperlipidemia, and heart disease. Low carbohydrate diet lowers insulin levels. The low insulin levels interrupt the anabolic and fat storing state which created by high insulin levels. On the other hand, the lack of carbohydrates leads to compensatory increase of fat and protein intake, resulting in enhancing satiety and reducing hunger, which creates caloric deficit and produces weight loss. Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is a diet based on polar diet in Mediterranean region. The diet rich in fibers, high in antioxidants, micronutrients, monosaturated fatty acid, and omega-3 polysaturated fatty acid, while lower in glycemic load, saturated fat, and omega-6 polysaturated fatty acid. Here, examples of Mediterranean diet like nuts and seafood, fish, fruits, vegetables, and olive oil. The Atkins diet is a low carbohydrate diet, less than 10 gram daily of carbohydrate, without any restriction of fat or protein content. The Atkins diet is based on meats, fatty fish and seafood, eggs, low carbohydrate vegetables like spinach, nuts and seeds, healthy fats like avocado oil, whole grains, and full fat dairy like full fat yogurt. Vegetarian diet. Vegetarian diet is a plant-based diet. Different levels of vegetarianism are available. Vegan diet, where vegans consume plants and abstain from meat, poultry, fish, and all animal-derived products. Or vegetarian diet, where vegetarians consume some animal products. Vegetarians are of different levels, including lacto-ovo vegetarians, where fish, poultry, meat are not allowed, but eggs and dairy products are allowed. Lacto-vegetarians, where dairy products are allowed, but fish, poultry, meats, and eggs are not allowed. Ovo-vegetarians, where eggs are allowed, but fish, poultry, meat, dairy products are not allowed. Pescatarian diet, where fish is allowed, but meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products are not allowed. The second dietary approach for treatment of obesity is the intermittent fasting or time-based energy restriction, which is a dietary approach where there are timed periods of abstinence from food or drink or both, without any restriction of particular macronutrients. Intermittent fasting reduces the risk of obesity, lowers insulin resistance, decreases cardiovascular disease, and slows the progression of Alzheimer and Parkinsonian disease. There are several ways of doing intermittent fasting. The most popular methods are the 16 over 8 method, which involves an 8-hour window for food consumption and fasting for 16 hours daily. Eat stop eat fasting method, which consists of complete fasting for 24 hours non-consecutive twice weekly. The third method, which is the 5 to 2 diet, that involves eating a balanced diet for 5 days and partial fasting on the remaining 2 days of the week, aiming to lower the caloric intake to less than 600 calories each day. The third approach to dietary treatment of obesity are the diets based on a calorie deficit. Those diets are based on the concept of calories in, calories out rule. By eating fewer calories than burning each day, which leads to negative energy balance and weight loss. It can be done in a variety of ways. The first way, by eating a low-calorie diet consists of 1000 to 1500 kilocalories per day, or eating a very low-calorie diet consists of less than 800 kilocalories per day. The second way to create a negative energy deficit is a meal replacement by replacing one or two high-calorie meals with one or two low or very low-calorie meals, which are available in multiple commercial formulas. Before the end of my video, what is the optimal diet for treatment of obesity? Actually, the optimal diet for treatment of obesity should consider the efficacy, long-term sustainability, patient comorbidities, safety, affordability and preferences, nutritional value, and patient adherence. At the end of this video, thank you for watching. Till we meet again, goodbye.